Hey guys, welcome back to MATHit School. In today's video, I'm going to be solving these three quadratic equations using the completing the square method. Now I'm going to carry this method out in several steps, and you can learn those steps in order to solve these quadratic equations out. Now, by the end of this video, you'll be able to solve these big quadratic equations faster than your math teacher. So for those of you who want to learn, let's get started with the first equation. Now, before I go on with the first equation, let me just briefly go over what completing the squares mean. If you have x squared minus bx plus c equals 0, you can basically turn this into, there's a square here, you can basically turn this into x squared minus bx and then send c to the right side of the equation as negative c and then add 1/2 of b squared to both sides of the equation. That way you can write x minus b over 2 squared is equal to negative c plus b over 2 squared, and by taking square root to both sides of the equation, you can basically determine the value of x. Now I'm gonna show you this method step by step using the actual question, so let's get started with the first question. So what I do is first I take that c, or the third term in that quadratic equation, and send it to the opposite side or the right side of the equation. And if I do that, I end up with x squared minus 6x is equal to negative 4. And then the second step is to take this b part or the coefficient of the second term and divide it with 2 and then take a square to it to add to both sides of the equation. Take that negative 6, divide it by half, and then square it to add to both sides of the equation. Now you have these two numbers added to the equation. The equation stays the same because we are adding basically the same numbers to both sides, so these stay equal. Now the next step is to rewrite the left side of the equation as x minus 6 over 2, which is this number within the parenthesis, and then square it. Now, if you square x minus 6 over 2, then you get the expression back. So what you're doing here is you're taking this number and putting it right next to x and then squaring the whole thing out. And that's equal to negative 4 plus, this is negative 3, and negative 3 squared is positive 9, so I'm adding 9. So if I rewrite it, x minus 3 squared is equal to negative 4 plus 9, which is 5. And at this point, I will take square root of both sides to get rid of the square on the left side. And I end up with x minus 3 is equal to plus and minus square root of 5. And the last step is to send this negative 3 to the right side. And if I do that, I get x is equal to 3 plus minus square root of 5. And that'll be my final answer. So I'm gonna box it like this to indicate that this is indeed my final answer. So those steps, let's recap. First step is to send that third term to the right side and then add 1/2 of b squared to both sides. And then you take that b over 2, put it next to x, and square the whole thing and set it equal to whatever you have on the right side. You take the square root of both sides and solve for x. Now I'm going to repeat the same procedure for the second and third problem. Let's get started. Okay, this is it. So thanks for watching, and I'll come back with more helpful videos later on. Please subscribe.